All right. Well, thank you for making time to come in and talk with me this afternoon. I appreciate it. My name is Brian. I work for a company called Mosaic Group. The reason I'm telling you that, the reason I think you should care, I hope that you care, is that it's important you know I work for an independent research company. I don't work for the company that's sponsoring this discussion. I've just been asked to come in here and talk with you, learn from you, get your honest thoughts, your honest opinions. Whether you tell me positive things or negative things, it has no impact on me personally whatsoever. A couple things about this room that I'm required to tell you. That is a microphone up there in the ceiling. The mirror behind me is what's called a one-way mirror. There are people sitting back behind that glass. There's also a video camera back there. I am audio and video recording this. It's primarily so I don't have to sit here and take notes. I do get transcripts made of our discussion. I go back and reread them, and it kind of reminds me of everything we talked about. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So before we get started, I was hoping that each of you would take a brief moment to introduce yourself to me as well as to each other. A couple things I'd love to know. Most importantly, if there's a name other than what's on that name tag that you were given that you prefer to be called, let me know that, and I'll certainly do my best. If you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit about the company that you work for, kind of what it is, what it does, and then tell me a little bit about your role there. You want to start?
Sure. I work at a law firm. I'm technically a paralegal. I do a lot of roles, including managing the office and the office software and computers and things like that. We have a lot of contract attorneys, and I work primarily for my senior attorney.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
I usually go by the name of Bob, but if you call me Robert, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. I'm a real estate agent, residential sales only. I specialize for seniors, and I don't do any advertising whatsoever. Everything's by referral for me. And I don't. And I also work outside of San Diego County. My clients are from LA all the way down to the border.
Okay. And you're also responsible, in addition to being a realtor.
Right. Well, we have our own offices, and I buy my own equipment and everything, and so I look into our internet systems and everything else, and we upgrade them on a regular basis.
Okay.
And so on. Whereas it's a small operation, and we might expand maybe in about 5 years when I plan to fully retire, but right now, we're very low.
Okay, great.
That's it.
I work for a stock brokerage firm. The chief financial officer and the chief compliance officer. We have financial advisors all across the United States. So as the CFO, I'm also responsible for the IT. We contract a third party that comes in to do the heavy stuff that's beyond my scope, but when it comes to purchasing, decisions of when to upgrade, what type of upgrades we're going to do, things of that sort, I'm the one who does a lot of the research, then work with the contractor to determine what's the best options for our business. So
perfect. Okay, great.
I work for an oil company. Actually, I own it. I'm the president of the company. Our business primary is basically in gasoline distribution, and also invoicing and customer requirements. And I manage about 35 employees, and we regularly upgrade our IT system to keep up with the industry, and that's about it. And everything goes through me, basically. I'm the final decision maker.
All right, great. And last but not least,
I'm Dean, and I own and manage 4 vineyard properties. Basically, I'm a farmer. Never thought I'd be a farmer, but now I am. And they're all in California. 2 in Northern California, 1 in Amador County, and 1 here in San Diego County. And I live here in San Diego County.
Okay.
So. It's all soil science, so.
Perfect. All right, great. Well, again, welcome. Appreciate you making the time to come in and talk with me, so thank you for that. We are going to be spending our time together talking about technology and how it pertains or how it relates to your business. I'm sure you probably figured that out based on all those questions I asked you on the phone.
Can't do without technology.
Yeah. I'm curious, and so the first thing I'd love to try to just understand is when you think about your business, your organization, and you think about technology, does your organization tend to think about or use technology as like a differentiator? Is it something that makes you different from other businesses like yours, or is technology more of just kind of something you need to get business done?
Well, for me, it's something that we need to get business done. And without it, we can't do anything.
Right.
We're dead, basically.
Okay.
Right.
So it's kind of like electricity.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, as far as my industry, there are some firms that will use technology to set themselves apart. With a lot of, now you have what they call the robo accounts, where it's more automatic type things. The firm that I'm with, we do not do that. We're a much smaller firm, so we're more the boutique, personalized hand-holding. But we can't do our jobs without computers and phones and all the systems that we have. So,
but you're not using it to kind of make yourself different than other.
No.
Okay.
No, we have certain softwares and stuff that we use that's just more for our business, but it's more for like processing the commission runs and things of that to make things a little bit easier on the back end.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone using technology to differentiate your organization from other organizations like yours?
We sort of are. We do a lot of chemical assays of our grapes, and for 1,000 years that really hasn't been done that much. There are some modern vineyards that are really doing that a lot, but we really try to track it on a week by week, almost day by day basis in a couple months of the year, and try to look at what's happening inside the fruit, so that we know exactly when to pick and when to ship and do everything like that. And our main customers are people who actually make wine, and we grow the grapes for them, and it's been pretty positive. We have a lot less mistakes and errors that way, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. Again, continuing to think about technology, I'm curious, what would you say is the biggest challenge your company faces when it comes to technology?
Keeping it running.
Yeah, I was going to say, being reliable.
More about that.
There's always something glitchy, and also you want your system to be integrated, work together, not have programs fighting each other and such. I think that getting everything working smoothly at the same time, so that the attorneys can come in, get their work done, and go, because they're just on their computers all the time, on their phones all the time. We don't really use technology to differentiate ourselves. We're not doing anything unique, but it has to run all the time.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't, then you have a spiraling catastrophe happening
and so
very quickly.
Why do you think your organization has that challenge? Why is that a challenge for y'all?
I think there's such a variety out there of programs we can use, systems we can use. You really have to figure out, how do you work, or how does your team work as an individual? How are you going to choose to communicate? How are you going to choose to share things? Or how is it going to be maintained securely? Very important for a firm that everything is private and secured. That's part of the responsibility when you have a client. And not all programs work together. Not all systems work together. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then every time there's a software update, all of a sudden your programs don't work right. So
compatibility seems to be the biggest issue.
Compatibility.
Whenever there's upgrades in a software, whatever, or equipment, it's compatibility. Like, I'm a big Apple products user, and regardless of how large Apple is, people in my industry who come up with software to make our industry easier, but they're just not fully compatible with all of the Apple products or the latest Apple products, and so we can't communicate well with our clients and other people in the industry, including the Department of Real Estate and so on. There's that lag. So, and I'm not doing what I should be doing, which is being in front of a client instead of working on the equipment.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the main thing. So,
any other challenges that your
The
organization?
other challenge is implementation. When you try to bring in a new system, of course there are requirements that the vendor has to meet, and once that requirement is met, then you need to introduce it to your employees, and getting your employees to become accustomed to the new system, and that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
Security.
Yeah, security and reliability.
Security is also a
Yes.
big one.
Yeah.
So.
And what makes security a challenge?
Just being able to protect our systems from outside, people hacking in, trying to get customer information. Plus, then there's also we have to send things encrypted if we're transmitting, and that can sometimes be difficult if you're not a real techie person, which I have some that aren't. So, that is difficult, and just trying to meet our requirements in the industry of keeping things secure.
And making sure all the employees know not to fall for the latest scam.
Right.
Like what you were saying,
yes.
I mean, just getting your employees to use the technology in the way you planned on using it, rather than falling back on old habits or not.
Right.
And no matter what you do, crooks are always one step ahead of you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a basic fact.
Yeah.
And you always try to basically minimize security infringements, and you do the best you can, but always you have to keep up with the upgrades, updates in order to be secure.
Gotcha.
But still, there are no guarantees.
Sure.
because the imposters are so good today at imitating. At imitating, and it's not who you think it is, but they're getting better and better at it.
So I want to now spend some time talking about how your business acquires technology, equipment, and services. And so when I talk about technology, equipment, and services, those would be things like laptops, tablets, peripherals like monitors, keyboards, software, as well as online services. Talk to me. So right now I want to focus in just on the how. How is your business acquiring, purchasing the technology today?
That's a variety of ways. Some of it I'll go out and purchase on my own. Some my IT guy will recommend, and then he purchases, and I do it through him. It depends on what it is. If we're just talking a monitor,
so give me examples.
So if it's just a monitor, I'll shop around and find a monitor that's on sale somewhere and go pick it up. If it's that we need a whole new server and we're replacing desktops at the same time and things like that, then my IT guy usually makes recommendations, and he has a contract with Dell or whoever, and it can get better pricing. So we go through him. As far as software, it depends on the software. If it's something that he's using in order to keep the system up to date, then he purchases. If it's something that's more for program use, then I'll purchase, and I either purchase it online or in the store, wherever I can find the best price.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay.
We've had to do some pretty unique things where we transfer data back and forth between our different sites, and the software that's written for doing soil analysis, just for instance, is something that's been developed by big agribusinesses, people who have like 80,000, 100,000 acre farms. They grow wheat in Nebraska. And they have done a really good job in leading the charge in developing this type of software, but I'm trying to apply it to smaller properties that might be like 50 acres. And where you're in the Midwest, where you might have soil that's very consistent from mile to mile to mile, in wine-growing regions, you have soil that's highly inconsistent from yard to yard. So you have to customize your software all the time and make sure it's working between different sites, and it's analyzing the data the same way at all your sites, and you're bringing it all together. And what we're finding out is that this is a analysis that's been made much easier by the strides that hardware manufacturers have made over the last 5 to 15 years. So now there is computing power that can do this kind of analysis for you, but you have to make sure you've got it the right way in 4 different locations coming into one server, and that you're accumulating the data in a way that can be used.
Right.
And so that's a challenge.
Sure. But in terms of how you acquire or purchase technology, like maybe laptops or maybe like software like Microsoft Office.
You mean like the physical, like she was saying, the physical aspect of buying it? Or,
yeah.
Well, what we have done is you tend to just buy what's the best and latest and best. But at the same time, you have to make sure that it works for your particular applications. So we rely on looking at what the big boys are doing in, Nebraska for growing corn, and say, okay, you're using this kind of system, so that we want to use something similar because we're going to run a similar kind of software on it. But it's probably overkill for what we're doing, but we're finding out that we have to do that. So we tend to go to specialty suppliers. Have to. Sure.
With us, it depends on the situation. If we are coming up with a new programs or software designs, we vet it out to see where we can get the best price. As far as the computers and monitors concerns, if we need 1 or 2, we just go out and buy it. And then if we have to replace a whole bunch of them, then basically we contact Dell or other vendors to basically give us a bid.
Sure. And you say you just go out and buy it. Like, give me an example of where you would go.
Well, there are several options that we have. We either, if we need it, now we just run to Best Buy and buy a monitor. If we can wait, we usually go either to Staples or Amazon.com and buy it if it's a single unit. And as far as our software concerns, we use Microsoft 365 for our accounting software.
And how did you buy that?
We bought it.
You subscribed to it, right?
Yeah, we subscribed it when we acquired our new computers. It came with it basically. So, and we pay a yearly fee for that service.
And those new computers that it came with? I'm just trying to get examples.
Yeah,
where did those come from?
What it is, the new computers that came, we did system upgrade about a couple years ago.
Where did those new computers come from? Dell. You ordered them from Dell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, and also at the same time, we negotiated software upgrades through them, and they recommended Microsoft 365.
Sure.
So they came in pre-installed, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else?
We buy a lot of laptops.
Yeah, thanks for laptops.
We're forever dropping them off of tractors and they break.
So someone drops a laptop off a tractor and it's time to get a new one.
So we just run down to our local Costco and buy the best thing they have available.
Yeah, there you go. Costco, Fry's.
It's so regular. I've never been in a business where you actually break computer equipment all the time. It's like a supply almost.
Gotcha. Okay. And
they get dirty and dusty and wet and full of chemicals, and they get ruined.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Okay, and then when that happens, Costco.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also buy most of our computers, monitors, printers, etc., all through retail. So it's whoever has the best price locally on retail or shipping. So we could do Amazon, we could do Costco. We bought from Dell directly.
It's like they almost become a commodity.
Right.
Yeah, we also use Windows 365. I mean, Office 365 and are very Windows oriented in our office. Some of our newer attorneys, though, we have a bring your own device policy. So they can bring whatever they want and they can get paid depending on their level in the organization, a certain stipend or a fund for that, and that becomes their device basically.
And so you mentioned you're using Office 365. How or where did you subscribe to that?
Honestly, I think we originally bought our licenses through Amazon, or it may have been directly through Microsoft. I'm trying to think if it's E1 or probably both, because we expanded. So I know we bought the original purchases, I think, directly from Microsoft, and then subsequent licenses as new people came on board through Amazon, probably.
Gotcha. Okay.
We also have other softwares that are specialized, and Office 365 does not support them. And we usually go through the vendor that we subscribe to them, and because we need that specific software, for example, to order fuel or to do inventory control and so forth.
Yep.
So we subscribe to that specific vendor.
Got it. And so my next question, and Dean, you already kind of started to talk about it, is I'm curious kind of what triggers a purchase? What are some of the triggers? So obviously falling off a tractor and breaking, right, that's a trigger. But for others, what triggers a purchase to go purchase technology?
To keep up with the technology. That's how we do it. If let's say a new technology comes out and we see we like it, we upgrade to it.
Can you give me an example of a new technology that came out that you wanted to have?
Well, for example, with the vendor that not the Microsoft 365, they come up with a new software that you need to subscribe to it or to purchase it. Well, you already have the older version of the software, but this one has more bells and whistles, if you will, and it's going to cost a little bit more.
Okay.
And once they show us a demo, you see what it's all about, then you say, yeah, it's better to upgrade.
Okay.
For us, as far as the hardware goes, it's pretty much when it starts to become obsolete to where we're not going to be able to maintain it anymore. We'll be able to get parts, drives, things like that, hard drives if it dies, and PCs, when they start to have major issues, then we scrap it and get a new one.
And who in the organization defines, okay, that computer's having a major issue and needs to be replaced?
That is usually the third-party IT person who he's gotten to the point where, okay, he can't fix it, or it's going to take too long to get parts for it. Our last server that we had to replace, it was because the drives kept dying on us, and it got to the point to where it was no longer covered, and it was going to take too long. Mm-hmm. So we ended up upgrading, getting in a whole new server. At that time, we bought a couple of new PCs because some of the PCs in the office were also getting very old, working really slow. Okay. So we just needed the upgrade for the speed, the capacity. So that's where.
Any other triggers?
Myself, I don't shop on price. It's the ease of use and reliability, and that's it. So I'll pay maybe double than what somebody else can get the same equipment. But as long as the reliability and ease of use is there, and the support is there along with it, those are the key things for me.
And so we're going to hold that thought, because we're going to spend some time talking about kind of why you purchase where you do, and then we'll talk about it. Right now, I'm still trying to just kind of understand how you do it.
Growth is the other reason that we would buy more technology. We need more because we brought on more people, so we need more phones, more computers.
Got it. And so I was actually when you think about the stuff that maybe a laptop, a printer, a license for Office 365 or something like that. Do you ever buy extras just so you have it like on site? Or do you wait until you actually need it?
I do have an extra printer on site, just in case.
Okay.
If the printer shuts down or something happens, I have an extra one that I can use. I mean, we got like 4 printers. I always have one extra, just in case.
We have 3 printers in our office for 4 people to use. So we've got multiple. So we have redundancy there as backups. And then as far as the PCs go, we have extras that are actually at home offices. So if my computer dies in my office, I can work from home just as easily. I have phone and computer, printer, scanner, everything right there at home to be able to work either location.
And also, we all have access to. I mean, in our office, the PCs, everybody have access to the network. So, for example, if my PC, something happens, shuts down, I can always go to the next guy or lady and say, hey, can I use your PC to get something done? Mm-hmm. And we all have access to the same network and basically can do whatever we can. Of course, we all have our own passwords and credentials.
Yep. Okay. And so, help me. So, Henry, you mentioned you've got an extra printer. But it sounds like the rest of you, none of you are buying like an extra laptop, an extra license to Office, just in case type stuff.
No, it has to die. There's so much redundancy in our office that I can easily hand off my computer to someone and work off my laptop, or they can bring their laptop in for a couple days. It takes us out a new PC.
And with the technology always changing, what's the point of spending money on a PC that's not being used, and it's going to become obsolete in 2 years? So,
and I can walk into Costco right now and get something, and then just spend a few hours loading it up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't buy from Costco
or wherever.
Wherever. Yeah.
We'll talk about that. So again, let's just talk about some of the not necessarily servers, but more of kind of the day-to-day stuff, right? So a laptop, a tablet, a printer, Office 365, or similar things like that, right? The more day-to-day stuff. Specifically, what is your role in deciding what you're gonna buy?
Well, I'm the final decision maker.
Okay. But does someone bring to you a short list and say, hey, Henry, I would recommend A or B, and then you decide which one, or do you do the whole thing?
Well, what it is, I got 2 IT people that if they need something or something going on or something needs to be replaced, they come to me and explain it, and to me they have to show me that we cannot use this any longer.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's not cost effective before I make that decision to move on to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Others, I'm just trying to kind of understand how it works in your company in terms of.
It depends. If it's something major like a new server, then my IT person is the one.
But more the day-to-day stuff.
The day-to-day stuff is usually on me. If I'm looking at a particular, if you're talking like a laptop or a tablet, then I'll make the decision based on what I'm finding.
Okay.
Just comparing and figuring out which one would be the best for the use. If it's more of a PC, then I'll do my research and figure out which one I think is best, and then I'll run it by the IT guy and say, okay, this is what I'm looking at. What do you think? Is this going to hold and be able to handle what we want to do? And he'll say yes or no and give his input. And
how do you? And I know I keep asking really detailed questions. I mean, it's helping me just kind of paint a picture of how it works. Because obviously you're all here because you have a slightly different environment. You all have you all have a small business, but they do different things. They behave differently.
Sure.
So you said you do a little research to figure out which one you think might be best. Help paint a picture of me of that for that. What is that research? What does that mean? Figure out what might be best.
Just well, I'm usually the one who needs the laptop or the tablet.